Colleagues, this bill, if we pass it, it's going to cost about $400,000. And yet, in this session, we've spent billions. We've heard quite a bit about how much this is going to cost. Let's keep in mind that number, $400,000. And yet, in this session, we've spent billions. Now, Speaker, permission to use a visual aid, so I don't forget to ask later as I get warmed up here to this topic.
Representative Bentz requests the use of visual aid. Are there any objections? Hearing none, so ordered.
Thank you. Colleagues, I'll get to the visual aid in a minute, but I've handed this chart out a couple of times in an effort to try to reflect, so maybe in 2015 when this bill comes to us again, and it's for substantially more than the modest 15% we're talking about today, everyone can remember this presentation and support an increase from, let's say, 15% to 30 or 40 or 50%. That sounds like a big number, doesn't it? But if you took a few minutes to look at this chart that I've prepared with the help of my good staff, you'll see that if we, well, this is time for the visual aid. This bag of potatoes, which has been languishing under my desk for a couple of weeks as I waited for this moment. I'm happy to say this did not come from the Members' Lounge, and it did not come through the use of the SNAP program. Indeed, we went down and we bought this for $2.99, 10 pounds of potatoes. What would you think it would cost to deliver this to a food bank under the 15% we're all going to vote for, because I'm going to vote for it too? What would it cost to deliver this 10 pounds of potatoes to a food bank? Just, what do you think? It would cost $2.99 at Albertsons. It would be 12 cents, 12 and a half pennies is what we're going to vote for today to invest in this bag of potatoes. 12 and a half cents. But it's tough to find more than $400,000. 12 and a half cents. Okay, so how can that be? How can it be that 10 pounds of perfectly good potatoes for 12 and a half cents? And the answer is simple. It kind of is based upon a story I'm going to tell you about my practice of law in Ontario. There's about 100,000 acres of irrigated ground on the Oregon side. Much of it is used to raise potatoes, much to raise onions. One day a client came in. I was doing a will for him, and he said, you know what, onion prices have gone south. He said, if you do a good job for me, Representative Bentz, I'm going to pay you with a truckload of onions. If you do a bad job, I'm going to pay you with 2. So the point is, a ton of potatoes, I'm going to shift to potatoes on you, so don't lose me here. A ton of potatoes, as of yesterday, was worth about $168 to a farmer. $168 for 2,000 pounds of potatoes. And what we're talking about is a 10% or now a 15% tax credit on that $168 for 1 ton of potatoes. That's basically $8, I think, and I guess 10% would be $8.40. If we drop it down to the 30%, it would go all the way, this bag would go all the way up to 25 cents. That's what it would cost to deliver this bag, a quarter, 25 cents. So, colleagues, the trick here is to understand that farmers make very little. And if you took this bag of potatoes down today and handed it to a food bank, if you're a farmer, you don't get to deduct that. That's not a deduction. You don't get a tax deduction. So there's not a stacking of credits. What you get is the 12 and a half cents we're going to vote for today. What does that pay for? Almost nothing. That's why most people aren't going to do it. What we need to do is double it like the Department of Agriculture has suggested, from 15% to 30. Sounds like a big number, but it's on the wholesale value. And one thing we're really, really good at is raising food. We're really good at it. Why wouldn't we be taking this incredible opportunity and moving all of this really good food that reduces health care costs, which are in the billions? Why are we investing such a modest sum? It's embarrassing. I voted no in committee for that very reason, to send a signal this is an embarrassment. So let's do next year something closer to 30 to 40%. Again, it's of wholesale to help pay for the freight and move some of this really healthy food over to the people that need it. Keep in mind again, the SNAP program, how much would I have had to pay for this bag of potatoes on the SNAP program? $2.99. That's what SNAP costs.
Representative Doherty yields her time.
Thank you. The point is, with the SNAP program is at retail, $2.90. What we're talking today is a modest tax credit of wholesale. Colleagues, I urge an aye vote today, but more importantly, I urge a much greater effort a year from now. Thank you, Madam Speaker.